up, what's up? Thanks for coming back through. Today I figured I would get out of the office, out of the shoeseum, come outside, talk to you about this amazing shoe. If not an unorthodox shoe. Not quite sure how I feel about it just yet, but I know that it's going to fit for a lot of people. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the Brooks Glycerine Max. When I first saw this shoe, it was kind of wild that it really resonated with me. How many of you remember the Brooks Beast? Back in the day when Brooks had an enormous shoe with this massive stack. And it was the quintessential old man dad shoe for runners who had bad feet and needed an actual tank to make their way around. Initially, when I saw a shoe this big with Brooks on it, that was what I thought. So I was a little skeptical, but it's beautiful. Hence the title. This beast became a beauty. So it's named the Glycerine because there's a lot of the factors and a lot of the pieces and parts of the glycerin that found their way into this. But I can't help but think about the Beast platform with how wide it sat, with the stack height. It's not a guide shoe, it's not a structure shoe, but it definitely has those components with the high arch built into the foam. So let's talk a little bit about those pieces and parts. It's a beautiful shoe, well constructed, and it's really, really interesting more than anything. You all know me. I love an interesting shoe. Even if I'm not gonna use it completely, I like to get it on foot and find out what it's made of. So let's get into it. Upper, midsole, outsole. So the upper of the shoe is an engineered mesh. Your basic engineered mesh, nothing super special about it. It's nice and airy. Kind of got a bulbous toe on it. I'm not mad about it, but there's a lot of space up there. And then you've got some reflective components. One thing I found was really crazy is it's got this structured whale tail on it. Similar to the other shoes that Brooks has made over the last year. But this one's super padded. It's really, really bulbous around that collar. I don't know that it needs that much of a collar on it. It's almost like they just like, 1.5'd everything up from the midsole to the outsole to the padding. Everything is a little bit extra where it probably didn't need to be. That's a little bit much. When it's on my foot, it's a little puffy. The tongue is extremely puffy. And again, doesn't need to be. They tried to give it some air holes. The lacing is standard, but I don't think it needed to be that big. Now, you can probably take a peek inside. You already know what I'm gonna say. No gusset. Brooks, that's a fail. I gotta take points away for that. This should be gusseted, especially with the size of that tongue and how puffy it is. It likes to move around. It really does. Again, with that 1.5 I'm talking about, even the keeper, the lace keeper is like, big lace keeper, everything must be big. Everything's just a tad big. Now, if you're on longer runs, if, again, you have maybe some structural problems with your feet, you need a little bit of toe box room, you're gonna get that. It's a little bit wide. When you lace it together, you can lace it pretty tightly shut, but nothing too bad. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it, but it's not a sleek shoe. It's a good looking shoe, but it's not a sleek shoe. One thing I found really interesting is the Brooks logo is structured. It actually goes right there onto the midsole, and it's hard. So it provides some stability because you're way up there on a stack. So that's a really interesting thing that I had never seen the Brooks logo do, at least not in a hard form. Comment down below if you've seen that happen on other Brooks. You know what? I think the Beast might have had it. Now that I mention it, I was joking about the Beast, but I think it did have it. There's no medial side to that, but it does have that right there. That structured component that bleeds down onto the midsole to provide a little bit more stability. Let's get into the midsole. The midsole is a dual density of, you have DNA tuned is what they're calling it. Now it's 2 different foams. You can see that it's translucent, so you're getting kind of the same feel of some recent shoes from across many different brands. Puma has one, Adidas has one. It's a cage on the outside and then a carrier foam on the inside. Now, they're touting a rocker, which I'll get to in just a second, but you can see right there at the forefoot, the foam changes to be the DNA tuned. What that is meant to do is to give a nice terse, sharper toe off, while the rest of the foam is the typical DNA foam, the nitrogen infused foam. The way it was described to me is that the nitrogen air bubbles and the spacing between them is what's causing the dual density. Now this one's more compact, smaller bubbles, tighter return of energy. This one is softer, more impact protection, but still has a little bit of return on the energy. So that was really interesting, I found. You could feel it. I'll get to, like I said, that rocker feeling that they're talking about. Brooks has rounded the heels of most of their shoes over the last, maybe 5 years. And they've really gone for a heel strike that initiates that roll. Now, I'm a midfoot striker to toe off. I'm not a heel striker. So I wasn't feeling that roll until I purposefully stuck my heel in the ground on purpose to see if I could initiate it, and then it was magic. That roll happened really, really, really good. So that was a really good feeling, a really good indicator of that roll, but you have to start it on that heel. Again, you can see that dual density running through the entire shoe, and you might even get a glimpse right there how it lessens toward the back. So it's a foam inside of a carrier foam, but what's good is both of these foams are their energy return, just to varying degrees. You're getting energy return off of all of those foams, but that DNA tuned foam is a little tighter response. And you could feel that when you got up to speed, especially if you're a midfoot to toe striker like I am. That toe off was helped by not sinking into it. You know, with a shoe this size, you could get a Hoka feel. You could get something that's squishy. It had a fair amount of squish, but that tuned foam tightened it up as the midsole compressed, especially under my weight. When you have something this thick though, it definitely gives you the feel of something that's plated or structured. There's not any bend. There's no bend. You know, this shoe isn't going to bend, okay? So there's no bend in the shoe. You're gonna have a structured feel. There's no need for a plate when you get this big. You're talking 45 stack to 39 stack. Like the front stack of this shoe is what some race day shoes are stacked up to begin with. That's absolutely crazy. When you've got a shoe like this, I dare say you're really not worried about weight savings. It's being listed as just over 10 ounces, but in my US size 12, that doesn't even matter at that point. You're running in a shoe this big. The weight savings is not your concern. So what you're really looking at is some really good grip. It really does just look like a beefed up version of what they've put on the Hyperion and the Hyperion Max, the Hyperion Max 2. You've got your heel pad portions that go into your forefoot portion. Great grip, directional so that it's going against the grain of your running, against the direction. That's a big chunk of rubber. So you're not looking at a weight savings on this. You know, that's not your main concern. Your main concern is contact with the road and lessening that impact and getting good grip. Insoles, standard, you know, you've got a lot of space. If you do have an insole, just like the Brooks Beast, I'd venture a guess that you can put one in there. Damn it, gusseted tongue. Come on, guys, we need that. We can have a look and see how it stacks up against some thick boy stack champions here. You know, you've got a massive stack on the Light Strike Pro there for Prime X Strung 2. And then another big stack in that Cloud Tech Phase by On. I mean, we're talking a 50 millimeter stack on this one. And we're talking a 45 millimeter stack on the Brooks. It's pretty high up there. It feels chunk boy stack just like it. So, you know, once you get to a certain stack height, it's really really a moot point. Although there's a little more squish in this one. That one has a little more roll. That the Primex Strung has a little more roll, whereas the Brooks has a little more squish. And so, you know, 45 to 50, we're still talking a crazy amount of stack. So all in all, what I'm loving about this shoe is that the ride is nice and it lessens the impact. It severely lessens any impact that you're having on the ground. So it would turn the concrete into a plush ride, that's amazing. You know, you've got a lot of race day shoes, a lot of plated shoes, and they're meant for speed. And yes, they lessen the road feel, but really they're meant to get you going. But if you're putting a lot of vertical force into the ground and you're plodding along, you need something to lessen that impact of concrete, even of track and turf, you know, because when you're sprinting, when you're running faster, when you're doing your race pace, you're gliding along the ground. The full force of your body's impact and gravity are not going vertical into the shoe as much as when you're doing slower mileage and slower running. Now, I'm going to be using this for plyo days because that impact is more direct. That impact is, you know, 5, 7, 10 times your body weight coming down directly on your joints, on your feet. This lessens that impact. And I really did feel that I could get back out of it. It wasn't too mushy. I did a couple of bounds in it, walked a mile, ran another mile, did a few plyos just to test it out. And I really did like the feel that it gave me, an energy return and that sharp, snappier return where that tuned DNA is. So I'm gonna put it through its paces and see. It's definitely an all-day walker. So, and it looks good. It really does look good. So I'm gonna be styling in it a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. I wanna give a big shout out to Fleet Feet Exarban and then Fleet Feet out west in Omaha. They worked a lot with me to get me this shoe. Who knew that it was a release day shoe? Brooks had a release day shoe. I went in, I tried it on, and then they very politely told me, you can't have it right now because it didn't come out until today. And so having a release day shoe, they saved it for me, put my name on it, even transported it to the store that was closer to me so that I could get the shoe. So Fleet Feet and Sarah and all the crew down there, thank you very much. I appreciate you all. I'll be back for more shoes. You know how I'm always in there. But that is the Brooks Glycerine Max. Price point $200. Worth it? Yeah, I think so. You're gonna get a lot of use out of it. You'll probably get a lot more use out of something like this than your plated race day shoes or something more specialty. This is definitely a general plotter. This is a general runner. You'll get a lot of miles in it. It's really good. If you got them, get down in the comments. Let me know that you snagged them. Let me know what you think. Other than that, we'll be back with more. I want to give a big thank you to all of you. We have reached a really big milestone in crossing 1,000 subscribers. We are now at 1.2, all without me asking people to subscribe, and I really appreciate you guys rocking with me. Let's do more. I got some t-shirts on the way, some CONNOSHOER by RDQLUS t-shirts on the way, and a little more things. We're going to be doing some giveaways because I can't take all of these shoes with me. So, all right, we'll rock with you later. Peace.